Season 2 and Season 3 of Dragon's Rising showed the ninja using Rising Dragon technique, and honestly, in my opinion, it is a very welcomed addition to the ninja skill set, but the thing is, I have a feeling that it's gonna go away very soon. And this is not a baseless theory by any account. The thing is that Rising Dragon technique has presented two of the major factors that we have seen in the past before, and those factors are what causes the ninja to stop using something within the show. So I have a feeling that the next victim to this curse is definitely going to be Rising Dragon technique. But let me prove to you that this is going to be the case. But before we do get into it, I do want to know one thing. Do you want Rising Dragon technique to stick around within the course of Ninjago? Do you want it to continue to be a part of the ninja skill set after the course of Dragon's Rising? I would love to know, or do you think it should be retired? But here's the thing, I think regardless, it's going to be. But let me not waste any more of your time, and let's talk about why Dragon's Rising technique is going to be put away one day. The first reason as to why I believe Rising Dragon technique is going to go away is the fact that the utilization of it has always remained fairly consistent. In front of me, I have every single time we have ever seen Rising Dragon used within the course of Ninjago, and there is basically one commonality between every single instance. It involved either the Forbidden Five or it involved Thunderfang. The thing is that over the course of these seasons, we have only seen the ninja actually use Rising Dragon if it is to counter either Shatter Spin or Thunderfang's Chaos Energy. The thing is that they've never used it for any other reason, and also we've explicitly heard Lloyd tell the ninja to not use it in any other case. In Season 2 Part 2, Lloyd remarks that they should not use Rising Dragon against non-Shatter Spin users, and I think it's down to the fact of the sheer power scale of the move itself, but Lloyd has only ever wanted the ninja to use it in those specific instances. And even though Doc has confirmed that the Forbidden Five aren't actually gone and they may even return one day, the thing is that I don't think they're going to take any sort of priority, especially in Season 4 of Dragon's Rising. So the thing is that there's no longer a foe that Lloyd would deem necessary to actually use Rising Dragon technique against, which may mean the ninja may just simply no longer utilize it for any sort of purpose. I will say though, this is inherently funny because it has also been confirmed that Rising Dragon technique wasn't actually initially created in universe for the sole purpose of countering Shatter Spin. Doc has actually confirmed that it does just so happen to counter Shatter Spin, and it was actually used just simply for a different purpose. Remember, it was just an extension of Spinjitzu, so it just happened to coincide with the aspect of the balance. So it is kind of ironic in that sense, but the thing is that it seems to be that Lloyd doesn't even know that, and anyways, I don't think he would want to use it against non-Shatter Spin anyways. But that's the point. If there is no foe that uses Shatter Spin in front of them, then why would they simply use Rising Dragon technique? There is officially no longer a purpose to use it if that is what Lloyd has deemed so. So in that case, it would lead to no longer seeing Rising Dragon, which actually is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, it would coincide with what we know. But what's crazy to me is that in my opinion, that is the lesser of the reasons. And the second reason is actually one to do with Out of Universe, and it's to do with the actual writing of Ninjago itself. And I do think it's much more of a prevalent and more active problem that they might have to address just simply by getting rid of it. And that is the ultimate thing that the writers have strived to do since the very beginning of the show, and that is the quest to keep the ninja from being completely overpowered and actually having them have some sort of challenge come every season. The thing is that over the course of the show, the writers have made sure that the ninja don't simply become too strong, and Rising Dragon technique might actually be something that would make them too strong. Two of the most infamous cases of the ninja having something taken off of them for the sake of balance has always been Aijitsu and the Elemental Dragons. The thing is that people to this very day still ask that question, what happened to them? And a lot of people also still hope to this day that they will come back. But as confirmed by the writers for many different reasons, they will simply never return because the ninja actually need to have some sort of challenge at the end of the day. But the problem is that Rising Dragon literally is worse than both of them put together, in the literal sense. The crazy thing is that if you dismantle what Rising Dragon technique is, you are quite literally looking at something that is both Aijitsu and Elemental Dragons put together. Aijitsu was always advertised as this ability for the ninja to take flight. It was the way for a Spinjitzu master more specifically to take flight, and they removed it because they didn't want the ninja to be able to fly out of every single issue. The elemental dragons were also introduced as a way for the ninja to fly around and also have an extension of their own elemental power. I mean, the elemental dragons were able to fire much more stronger variants of the ninja's powers, and you could tell just simply by how they used it, there was a very strong utilization of it. When you look at those two things and you put them together, you quite literally get Rising Dragon Technique. You get an ability for a Spinjitzu master to be able to fly, maybe even temporarily, but still, and also an ability for a dragon to shoot off a very clearly powerful version of their elemental power. Rising Dragon Technique is quite literally Air-Jitsu and the elemental dragons combined into one. Which is ironic because it's somehow the case of the writers not wanting to make the ninja too strong and giving them something that was even stronger. The thing is that on their own, Air-Jitsu and elemental dragons were very powerful, but like I said, this is literally the two of them together, so it's not even the case of they only can do one at a time and that is how they were able to do it. No. This is literally the strongest move the ninja have ever learned. And of course it does make sense within the context of the show because it's meant to be the counter to as well a very powerful dark technique. Of course, Shatter Spin is not something that you should laugh at. It is a very strong move and that is why they did require it. But take away the Shatter Spin and all you've got is the ninja with a very powerful Spinjitzu technique that doesn't really have a counter anymore. But that is the overall point. The thing is that with Rising Dragon no longer having something for it to be the counter for, they just simply will never use it again. Like I said, I am staring at every single time the ninja have utilized Rising Dragon now. And the thing is that every single time it says one thing, it's to counter Shatter Spin or it's to take down Thunder Fang. So in the end, you are looking at a technique that just simply doesn't have a spot in Ninjago anymore. This honestly would probably end up upsetting a lot of Ninjago fans, because that is the problem. This is a new move that I think a lot of people find very exciting to see, and I do think a lot of people really like Rising Dragon Technique. So to get rid of it, not long after we have actually been introduced to it, may not actually go down with a lot of fans all too well. But that's the thing. There's always a solution to these kind of problems. So here is, in my opinion, how you could integrate Rising Dragon Technique into Season 4 of Dragon's Rising. I think this is honestly the best way you could potentially do it, and it coincides with the arc that the ninja's powers seem to be on the fritz, or they seem to have a problem with controlling them. If Season 4 is introducing this idea that the ninja may not have their elemental power, or at least a very damaged version of their elemental power, a way that they could go around it is by the utilization of Rising Dragon Technique. Remember, Rising Dragon takes a lot of the energy of the user. They can use it just so as long as they have the energy to do so. But the thing is that if they don't have their elemental power, you could have this idea that the only way they could utilize their elements is through Rising Dragon, and it would cause the ninja to become a lot more worn out at the exact same time. This could really strengthen 3 plot points within Season 4 of Dragon's Rising. This could emphasize the fact that the ninja need to learn how to use their elemental power once more, because if they can't use their power, but they can through Rising Dragon, it would wear them out a lot quicker. So they need to figure out how to use their powers before they essentially zap all their energy and wouldn't be able to fight the enemies in front of them. The second way it could coincide is mainly down to the fact that it would also be a great way to emphasize the fact that Rising Dragon is something that wasn't originally meant for Shatter Spin. It was meant to be something completely different. That is just simply how the cookie crumbled. And the third way is to simply show that the ninja aren't just gonna forget abilities as it goes along. The ninja aren't just gonna move on to the next thing and forget what came before that, and gives the Ninjago space a little more continuity. It would just be nice because the ninja would acknowledge the fact that they know the move, acknowledge that it can be very useful, whilst also acknowledging the fact that they don't have to use it only against the Forbidden Five, even though they're now gone. But unfortunately, I don't think they're going to do that. As much as I do think it could be a good way of doing it, I ultimately think at the exact same time, the ninja are just simply no longer going to use Rising Dragon Technique. I think Season 4, like I said, is just going to concentrate on the fact that the ninja need to relearn how to use their elemental powers once more. And I think it will just simply create a space that isn't big enough for also Rising Dragon Technique. And it is ultimately a shame. Because on an overall, even though I have outlined a way Rising Dragon technique could remain within the course of the show, I do believe that this is now where Rising Dragon may be quietly retired. Like I said, I don't see them actually utilizing Rising Dragon in any other way, simply because it just grants the ninja the ability to fly, it grants the ninja basically the powers of the elemental dragon, and it completely overpowers them in comparison to what could be their next enemy. And I don't think the writers want to do that. They want to keep the ninja a little more grounded, because that has been what they've been doing essentially since the Oni trilogy, and this would definitely take them back to the classic era of the show where they definitely had more abilities than they knew what to do with. Is it a shame that it's going to be most likely the case that it is retired? Yeah, because it is really cool, and I'm going to be honest, Rising Dragon has had some of the coolest scenes that we've seen within Season 2 and Season 3 of Dragon's Rising. But I just think that this is officially it. I think Rising Dragon technique is going to be the next victim of the ninja balancing idea, and ultimately, that's just how it goes. But it's not exactly the nicest thing to see again. But what do you guys think of Rising Dragon technique? Do you believe that they will continue to use it within the show? Do you think it will be retired like I believe? Do you think that there's something more to Rising Dragon that we have not seen yet? I would love to know what you think of it, because honestly, I'm very worried for the future of Rising Dragon technique. I do believe that I'm right in the fact that it's gonna go away. I don't think it will survive outside of Season 2 and Season 3. Of course, I did outline a way they could have done it, but I just don't think that they will. But like I said, this is why I want to hear your thoughts. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and let me know if there are any other topics similar to this that you would like me to cover. I love to do these kind of videos, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. I love talking about Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you don't have to, you could always consider becoming a channel member and joining the legends that you see on screen. And I want to give a particular shout out to the eternal legend, Grandmaster Sensei 28208 or Dareth. Thank you very much, my friend. But that is about it for today, you guys, and thank you very much for watching. Take care. Okay, bye.